Have you ever felt like you're just fighting to be seen? You know, the more you try, the more people seem to look right through you. It's a weird feeling, isn't it? We're often told to be louder, to demand our spot, but what if that's the very thing that's making us weaker? Okay, let's really get into this counterintuitive idea, why you should never chase respect and how you can actually make it come to you. And this is the brutal truth at the very heart of what we're talking about today. Think about it. Respect is kind of like a shadow. The second you start running toward it, it just takes off. And this isn't just some clever little saying. It points to a deep, fundamental law of how people work. The very act of chasing something, well, it sends a signal that makes other people instinctively pull back. So here's the key. The moment you start chasing, you are silently admitting that you don't naturally command respect. You're basically broadcasting this message that says, hey, without your approval, I'm not whole. And just like that, you've handed over all the power, letting other people decide if you're worthy of dignity, or if you can just be dismissed.
All right, so to fix this, we first have to really understand the problem. Let's break down the exact behaviors that kill our authority and just scream neediness to everyone around us.
Do any of these sound a little familiar? Look, on the surface, they can seem pretty harmless, right? Like you're just being nice or trying hard. But over time, they start to paint this picture of desperation. And here's the thing. People have really, really sharp instincts for this stuff. They can feel that neediness almost right away, and that's the exact moment the entire power dynamic flips against you. And that's really what it all comes down to. That neediness is absolute poison for authority. Because if people get a sense that you'll panic the second they disapprove, or that you'll chase even harder if they pull away, they stop seeing you as a leader. Instead, you just become manageable, someone whose entire emotional state is in their hands. And this, right here, is the huge difference we need to understand. The chaser is frantic, they're loud, and they're emotionally dependent. But the sovereign, they're calm, they're measured, they're self-contained. Their value is not up for debate, it's just there, with or without anyone else's approval. And that is what creates this magnetic pull that just naturally draws respect in. So the big question is, how do we go from being the chaser to the sovereign? Well, it all starts with understanding one single core principle, the incredible power of scarcity. Just think about it for a second. This law pretty much governs our entire world, from diamonds to relationships. If you're always available, you're always replying in a second, you're always dying to prove yourself, what message are you really sending? Subconsciously, people just conclude that your time, and by extension you, well, you aren't that valuable. You've basically flooded the market with yourself. To really get this, let's think about a simple question that holds the key to all of this psychological power. What really is the difference? A puddle, well, it's shallow, it's totally transparent. You can see right to the bottom. There's no mystery, no intrigue. But an ocean is deep, it's mysterious, it commands respect, maybe even a little fear, precisely because you have no idea what's down there. And this brings us to one of the most important lessons in power. Being predictable is death. Your goal is to be the ocean, not the puddle, to have a kind of depth that other people can't just figure out in 5 minutes. Okay, so that's the theory. But how do we actually do this? Let's get into an actionable, step-by-step blueprint for building this kind of powerful presence. It really all boils down to these 3 core ideas. They're pretty simple to understand, but let me tell you, they require some serious discipline to pull off. So let's break down each one. First up, control your availability. Now, this doesn't mean you have to be rude or ignore people. Not at all. It just means being deliberately selective. When your time and your attention are treated like they're a limited resource, you automatically become way more interesting. Think of it this way. Limited access creates value. When people know they can't have your attention 24/7, they start to value it a whole lot more when they do get it. Next, and this one is absolutely critical, you have to master your reactions. When someone says something disrespectful, what's your first instinct? To jump in and defend yourself, right? To correct them? That is a trap. A calm, quiet, non-reaction sends a much more powerful message. It says, my sense of self isn't tied to what you think of me. Now that is real strength. So instead of getting into some big, loud, defensive argument, you take quiet, decisive action. You notice what happened, you remember it, and then you systematically pull back your valuable time, your energy, and your support from that person. You let them feel the consequences of what they did, instead of just telling them. That is real power.
And finally, maybe the most important step of all, let your value speak for itself. Stop wasting all that energy trying to convince people you're good at what you do. Instead, take all of that energy and focus it on becoming undeniably good. Build real skill. Develop unshakable discipline. Because in the end, people don't respect what you claim you are. They respect what you consistently do.
Now, when you start actually putting these principles into action, something pretty remarkable begins to happen. And it's not some loud, overnight change. It's a quiet, powerful transformation in the way people treat you. You'll start to notice these little but super significant shifts. People who maybe used to take you for granted suddenly realize that access to you is no longer a given. They learn from your actions, not your words, that there are consequences for disrespect. And just like that, you've stopped chasing, and respect slowly starts turning around and walking towards you. This, right here, is the ultimate shift in your mindset. Your goal is no longer about winning over every single person in the room. No, your task is to build a core of such undeniable value and self-respect that the right people, the ones who actually matter, will recognize your worth without you ever having to say a word about it. So I'm going to leave you with this. Stop asking yourself, how do I make them respect me? Instead, I want you to start asking a much more powerful question. Because this question, this is the one that forces you to build real substance, to protect your energy, and to become the architect of your own value. And that is how you make respect chase you.